So many people are self-defeating, and it drives me crazy. I've spoke about it so many times in the past, but recent events just surface things, and it drives me nuts. It really does, because people act like they don't care about life in general. They don't care about whether they live and all this sort of thing, and they do care. They care because they show they care, and they might not realize they're doing so. At the same time, they abuse themselves. They mistreat their body. They have addictions to things. It's just they don't make positive decisions. Again, I don't understand that. Um, some people just go through life feeling like the victim of something when we all have the same hours in a day. Now, we all have unique circumstances. We all have challenging moments. You know, some of us are more free than others, but sometimes it's took hard work to get there. All these little things, you know, it's not always, life is hard. It's always a challenge, but it's like rise to the challenge or sink. You know, push yourself outside your comfort zone if you want to have something better. Effectively, it's like, why are we not striving to improve our lives? That's the point, isn't it? So let's always strive to improve. If you've got a dream and ambition, go for it. You can't sit there and have self pity and wonder why it's not working. You know, I'm always pushing myself forward. Of course, I hold myself back in some areas too, and there's sometimes when I'm frustrated, but I hold myself accountable. So it's like life is it's not easy for anyone, you know. So there's so many examples I could give, but I see people all the time. You know, they're vaping or they're doing something. They're literally destroying their body. And like, for instance, someone close to me who they've got health conditions now, but it was so avoidable so earlier on, and yet they continue to vape, destroy their body. They're quite lazy. Um, they take advantage of situations and can be quite selfish. You know, all these little things, and it's like your life could have been so much better. And I'm point blank to people. I say it to them directly. You know, I rather just tell people what I think, and it's like, do what you want with it. It's like I'm telling you to your face. Um, like people inevitably think that those that get to old age are gonna like pass away first. It's just you would sort of call it. I don't know what you call it. It's just, do you know what I mean? Like you just expect it. It's expected. But I've said to this person, for instance, that the way they're going, they will go first, like before the older person at this rate. And that's sad. And I say, you act like you don't care, but you do, because when you had an hospital appointment, you wanted someone to come with you because you didn't want to be there alone. So that shows that you do care, because if you didn't care, you wouldn't need someone to go with you. You wouldn't care what the result is. That speaks volumes. So then why the hell are you abusing your body? Why are you depriving it of the things it needs? I understand addictions and temptations are hard to sort of like stem. I like sugar myself. Like I have my own tendencies. I don't do drugs. I don't do alcohol. You know, if it's alcohol, it's just very, very rare, like once a year. And it's like just if and even then it's only if I'm with so like it's like a family thing, but I've pushed half my family away, so I couldn't give a crap. I don't actually need it, you know. But I've never done drugs, never smoked, done that because it's that for me. That's intentional self harm. I don't do any of that. Why would I intentionally hurt myself? I like sugar. I'm tempted by sugar. That is not intentionally hurting myself. It's a byproduct of things tasting nice, and it's in everything. So it's a problem. But again, that's something I stem. So I'm aware I need to drink water more. Okay, let's make time to make water. I'll still have some of the things I like, but I'm going to do it less frequent. I'm more observant to it. I'm more aware. So it better, you know, it can't be as persistent as it was in the past. Okay, I know that. Do it less. Let's take accountability of that. Drink more water. Okay, I'm going to make time for water. I prefer like hot beverages, like my teas, my coffees. I like my sodas. I try to go zero, but even then, that's probably no good. Again, trying to find a way to have less. Um, but life's not that easy, is it? But again, I'm going to still give it what it needs. If my body's saying it needs water, it needs pure water to survive, then I'm going to give it water. Let's give it some water. Even if water's boring, who cares? Who cares if boring's boring? If it's good for you, take it. You know, so that's literally what I'm trying to do. I'm not nutritional. I'm not good with that. I'd love to be with someone who is nutritional, good with things like that, because that's kind of what I need, balance. But again, I'm aware of these things. You know, I need to be exercising more, so I want to walk more. I'm talking from personal here, the things that I can improve, and I'm aware I need to, so I will. I like being out and about, but I can be quite um, indoorsy. I feel I can get cooped up for a long time, and it's just not good because I need to be exercising. You need to get your steps in. So I want to go for walks more, and there's little things I'm looking to do that. There was another video I was going to talk about the National Trust. I think it's called National Trust, where there's like heritage places around the UK, plenty of places where you can go. You can go for walks, sightseeing, all sorts of things. And I just think that'll give me somewhere to go, so it keeps me busy. But it'll get my steps in. So it's something I'm looking to join. It's not a lot of money, and it's free parking. Whereas if you didn't have the membership, you'd have to pay to get in and park it. So I think overall, that's great. I'm going to do a different video on that. But from my point of view, in terms of steps and walking, that's great. Gets you outdoors more. Let's do that. Let's get the drinking of water more. Let's start eating more healthy. Let's try and mix the healthy with the unhealthy to an extent. Not doing it because you're trying to abuse yourself. But you still have to have things you like. Yeah, that's the whole point. But some people just intent on just abusing themselves continuously, and they wonder why they're exhausted, why they're miserable, why they look absolutely terrible. And it's just a byproduct of the way you're treating yourself. Anyway, so this person's notion is this is where the metaphysical and the physical come in. Some people, they go through life convincing themselves that there's nothing they could do to change the circumstance. What's supposed to happen will happen. And I agree to an extent. I'm very spiritual. I've got my other spiritual content. But like I've said to this person is, you're hiding behind that. Because although we have a reason for being here, each of us have our own unique purpose we're supposed to fulfill, we have these experiences, it's up to us to sustain the vessel that carries us. If you abuse that vessel and it ends up collapsing on you pretty much, it can't sustain you anymore. It doesn't matter what life you were supposed to live and the experiences that were supposed to come later, all the things that were supposed to happen, because you abused yourself. You mistreated the vessel that carries you, and it couldn't sustain you anymore. Your life would get terminated early. So that wasn't what was supposed to happen at all. It's just you forced it because you had no respect for yourself. It's all these things. Again, why do that? Why not just live a fulfilling life? Once your health degrades too much, your literally quality of life degrades too. Your options diminish. You can no longer live normal life. It's like, why get to that point when you can reduce it now? And that's what I've said to them. You are very close to no return. But there may be a point where if you took action now, you may be able to reverse it. But there's going to be a point when you're going to regret your life. And I think that's sad. Again, you can't do it for them. You can give them. Sometimes you just got to be honest with them. Say it as it is. They need to hear it. And up to them, they do after that. You can't take ownership of people's lives. In the same way, I've been driving since I was like 18, I think. That's the one thing I wanted to do. I barely got any money. It was like my first job. I think I was getting like £40 a week. It was poor. It was part time. The one thing I always said, when I get money, I'm going to do driving lessons. I'm going to drive. Now back then it was cheaper. It still wasn't really. It's still expensive back in the day for what I was earning. But I do recognise, of course, now it's really, really expensive. But even then, what I was earning that week, I'll put into my driving lessons. So I was doing one a week, and then I was doing two a week. I did about 40 lessons, and then I did my test, and I passed the test. So it took me I had to pass. It took me 2 attempts for the theory test. I failed the first time because I don't revise. I'm not like that. I do things on a whim. So I failed it. I just failed it, and then I just passed it the next time. So, and the practical test I passed first time. But I can drive. I've been driving my whole life pretty much, and yet there's some close to me who have never driven at all. And I just can't help but think, how the hell have you got through life just going public transport? Because I can't help but think how awkward that is. Like, everyone has the capacity to, well, anyone, depending on disabilities, let's be realistic. But overall, the majority of people have the capacity to drive. So why not? Like, genuinely, why not? I think to be reliant on public services is really hard. Like, that means when you look for jobs like employment, you have to find places that are on a route that has public transport. That would be my idea of a nightmare. You don't have any freedom. You're limited by a route and a timetable. The idea of coming out of work and then you've got to sit on a bench for half an hour waiting for a bus to come and things, and you've got to keep stopping everywhere. It's like, that's just so annoying. Like, I can't handle it. I've had to do that in the past when I was younger. I can't go back to that now. So how the hell anyone becomes an adult and they don't have that independence in their life? I just don't understand it at all. So recently I had to take my daughter home. There's a whole okay. let's talk about that a little bit. I'm not here to go all negative, but it's ridiculous. Um, so she lives up north. She has to get a train about 3 or 4 hours on a train south. I have to leave my home and drive south too. So I'm not halfway between where they're going. So I'm not halfway. They're there, they're up there, I'm here, and they're coming down there because that's our hometown. So they moved up there. Her mum refused to travel. That's what she used to do to me. Yeah, it's an absolute nightmare. So I moved closer, and then she wouldn't let me travel, and then she started traveling down because that's where the families are. So the only way I would then have to travel down. So it's just stupid. Like my daughter's having to do everything. She's coming down to see me see, and then like down, I pick her up. So I come down, and then I take her home, and then I have to take her back there. Then she has to get a train back again. It's like all this yo-yoing. Yeah, her mum just goes downstairs and comes back. It's stupid. Um, I don't think where I was going with that. Oh yeah. Anyway, so that's what I have to do. I have to drive 2 hours to pick her up. She has to go on a train for 4 hours. So 4 hours and then 2 hours on a car with me. And then I take her back 2 hours and then she goes on a train up. Like, I don't understand why I can't just go from my house to there. It's just easier. Then she hasn't got a yo-yo everywhere. But it's convenient for the other people involved. I'm not going to go too far with that. They get cheaper tickets. So my daughter's a yo-yo. But anyway, I took my brother this time because he wanted to go. Now, my brother lives about 40 minutes from me. It's quite a trek, in all honesty, the way you have to go. So by the time you get back on the main road, effectively, a 2 hour trip becomes 3 hours. But I knew he wanted to get away. He's not doing too good. So I thought, you know what? If you want to come, you can come. So we went just for a couple of days. So I dropped my daughter off. We went the day before. No, was it the day before? No, I think we went that morning. And then my daughter went home. And then I just stayed a couple of extra days. But yeah, so that took us. So my daughter had to go out of her way. She loses an extra hour. But I thought it'd be good for him. And I explained to her that he needs this. So she was fine in the end. But that's an hour out of my way. And then to go home, I have to go, instead of it being 2 hours to get home, it takes me 3 hours to get home. So I've got to drop him off. At no point do they offer any fuel, petrol money to help with the costs, even though it's costing me money I don't really have. And it's taking time out of my day. Like, time is precious, you know. That's long. That's like a third of the trip, if I'm right. No, half, 50% of the trip. I don't know, 50% added. It's crazy, you know. It is mental. So that's not something I'm going to do all the time because, like, why should I make a 2 hour trip 3 hours? Why should I pay the extra costs that it's costing? Why am I paying? Why am I the idiot? I don't mind doing it. I didn't mind doing it as a gesture, like to be kind. You know, he needed a break, but don't take advantage of people because they won't bother. You know, um, I don't owe the point here is I don't owe anyone anything. I'm the one that put myself through driving lessons when I was younger. I'm the one that got myself a driving license. I'm the one that bought a car. I'm the one that pays the car insurance. I'm the one that pays the MOT to get it checked every year. I'm the one that pays the repairs. I'm the one that has to pay the car tax every month. I'm the one that has to put the petrol, the fuel in the car. You know, it's like I am responsible for all this. And too many people, they just think, I'll get in the car. They don't care about anything else. Like you can pay. They just think because you're the driver, you can pay the costs. You can pay the parking if you have to arrive anywhere else. It's just ridiculous. So my attitude is, well, I can take care of me. You take care of you. And that's fair, you know. I know it can come across arrogant or whatever you want to call it, and people have their own perceptions of that. I just think that's self-limiting people that have that perception, though, because anybody could have done what I done. It's not a big thing, is it? A lot of people drive, but too many people they just take the easy way in life and they expect people to carry them. It's just like, why should I carry you though? Like, that doesn't make sense. You could do the lessons, you could pay your costs, you can do all that. You're just choosing not to. You're being bone idle, so you limit your chances in life. But anyway, like I say, we've all got the same time in the day. We've all got the same hours. Now, we all have different distractions, different obligations. It's different things. So I'm not saying everybody has the same opportunities because I think that's a very minimalistic way of looking. I think we could all act like we're all free, and it's not necessarily the case because there's extenuating circumstances. You might be a child, or in your teenagers, whatever it is. You don't have the freedom to choose your own life yet. You might be in a toxic relationship. Maybe you figured that out and you're starting to regain your strength. You're starting to see that this is toxic. So maybe you've got a whole process to get yourself out of it and find your feet again. But what the point is, we all have it in ourselves to change our lives and look towards building something better. So we should all be looking to improve. I think when you stagnate, it's not a good place to be. And I think when you regress, it's even more heartbreaking. So when people don't even invest in themselves and go beyond that to the point where they're betraying their own body and abusing their vessel, I think that's just so sad. Like there's so many other possibilities, isn't there, and options. Um, so if you're not happy, you've got to look at why you're not happy and what can you do about it. Because anyone can do anything about anything. Sometimes you got to be prepared to sacrifice and lose things, though. Some of the things we hold on to are just so pointless anyway. You know, we all think that. I often have that with family members. They think some of the things I do are reckless, and I would agree they are, but they're for a higher purpose. I have bigger dreams and goals for myself. I don't dream to live an unsatisfied life like the majority of people succumb to and accept. So I do things that maybe others don't agree with. For instance, I might apply for a job and I might get offered the role and then I might turn it down. And people think, "Wow, that's crazy because you got offered the role. You should just take it." And it's like, yeah, but it's good. But now I think about it, like it's happened too quick. I don't really think that's going to suit me at all. Maybe the hours are no good. Maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe it's going to be too much travel to get there. Maybe I can find something closer. Um, Maybe it's not paying me right. Maybe the role itself isn't any good. But I'm seeing in myself, I need to be more active because I want to get healthier. I need to get stronger again. So that means I need to be active. I can't just sit on a forklift, for instance. I was looking at sort of forklift work 'cause that's what I've always done. But if I'm on a forklift all the time, that's no different to just sitting around the house. So where's the exercise come in? Like, I need to be moving, and it's like I think a physical moving job, not lifting loads of heavy stuff because of my back, but overall, let's get active. Um, but again, it's like I don't need people to understand or agree with what I'm building. I know what I'm building, and if we limit ourselves by what others expect of us, then we're not going to be satisfied in life anyway. And I think trouble that's what it is. It comes down to who are you trying to impress? I mean, we should always be impressing ourselves. So you have to look at yourself and think, what is it yourself is asking for? If your body can't breathe, don't keep filling it with smoke. If your body is dehydrated, then consume water. It doesn't matter if it's boring, your body needs it. Likewise, if we're not getting the right nutrients, then bloody get the nutrients. I mean, look, I'm not talking from the point of like, I'm perfect. I still need to make sure I'm having more fruit. I need to definitely make sure I have more vegetables. Even if I don't necessarily have it with the meal, maybe I'm going to have to do it separately or something and find a way just to make sure I'm consuming these things because otherwise I'm not getting the nutrients in me too. So I think sometimes we can abuse ourselves without even meaning to. So there's like an intentional abuse and then there's an unintentional abuse. Either way, the effects are going to be long lasting, aren't they? They're going to be obvious. Um, Another one of that, of course, is sleep patterns. So like my brother's up all the time. I've been having late nights myself, but I recognize that when I go to bed at a reasonable time, and like I said, I've had some water, I feel healthier for it. I feel more energy in the daytime, in the morning. Um, your body's not suppressing itself, and I think that's something to really. It's about being self-aware. Like, when do I ever feel good? Okay, it's that. So I have to sacrifice that for that because effectively, like, I'm someone who likes to extend the day. I want my day to be as long as possible. I want to get the most out of it. Well, to do that, you're having to drain your body. So your body's not having enough time to recover and regenerate. So you're exhausted and it'll show on the outside too. And effectively, you're just like a zombie. You're just existing from day to day because you're so exhausted, even though you don't mean to be. And it's like, if your body needs the rest, guess what? You got to give it rest. So even I'm learning the lesson, go to bed at a reasonable time. At first, okay, you might argue I can't sleep. Your body will soon get used to the routine. The first night, maybe you struggle. Eventually, you settle and it becomes a routine. And I think that's what's really important. But again, there's so many avenues to this. Look, I want to show vulnerabilities because I don't like to just like talk and it's like, oh, he knows everything or look at him. But I'm not perfect. We all have issues in our lives. I think even when we heal, we can become like hyper independent, hyper isolated, hyper, everything. You just become extra reclusive. There's so many things. So like you can go so far in one way, and that's why it's really important that people take an individual look on their life. It's like you can reflect something to someone, but someone needs to see it in him, and someone needs to do their own actions. You can't do it for them. So all you can do is shine a light on things, and it's up to them to then process it and everything. So like I say, I'm always analyzing my life, and I'm still always trying to work on it. But to be personal, let's be personal. There's someone I I can envision a beautiful life with. It's complicated as hell. Can it happen? I got no idea. I get a lot of signs now. I'm not going to go spiritual on this, but I'm just that one little bit is that letter always comes up for them, and it's their initial, and I'm like, that's insane because I think it's impossible. Now, there's so many complications to this that I could hold on to, and I could say I feel righteous in this approach. There's no way this can happen because I don't feel it's fair. But you can keep yourself miserable your whole life. So sometimes you've got to process it a little deeper and say people heal differently. Life's complicated. They didn't intend for the results that happened. So sometimes you've got to let some things go. Can I let it go? Anything that's hurt me, can I let that go? In this circumstance, not everybody, because I don't, you hold people accountable. In this situation with this person, do you care enough about this person to let it go? And once I've processed it, which I've been doing, and it's like, yeah, I can let it go because I understand deeper why it happened. I still don't know how it could possibly work. There's a huge distance, different countries, whole ocean, visas, which includes fees and all sorts of mirage of complications and other complications in the middle of all that. So in my head, it's like it would be beautiful, but I honestly don't know how it works. I wouldn't want to disrupt their life. So part of me wants to reach out just to see how they're doing and say, look, like maybe I've reacted in a not best way. It's about taking accountability, but at the same time, me reaching out just disrupts their life further. So I'm thinking, no, I won't reach out. I'd rather let them get on with their life. They don't need the complication of me. So yeah, there's an accountability there, isn't there? That look, if I didn't take that approach, maybe me reaching out, it would have a catalyst of one way or another, won't it? It would either bring them closer to you and you can work it out, or they would just close the connection anyway. So is there a fear of rejection involved in that? Maybe there is. Maybe there is. Maybe there on a subconscious level there is a feeling of rejection. But in all honesty, the part I hold myself accountable is the fact that I don't want to destabilize someone else's life. Because if they're in a good headspace or something, they don't need me interfering with that. I'd rather they built a life for themselves. It's like I've said, I think personally it'll be too complicated. Not that I'm not up for the challenge. I just think I don't see how it can work because the visa process and the fees and stuff. I don't have the money for that. It's just the world is corrupt. There's a lot of things I intend to talk about in the future, especially if I was to become more recognized. There's an awful lot of topics in the world I want to raise awareness of because it's not just. It just seems to be the wealthy have options. They literally have so much freedom. And those that are impoverished, they're poor, or they don't have the resources, they are limited in everything they do. How's that fair? How can money determine other people's opportunity? It's not fair at all. That's not how the world should be. It's corrupt. So I think the fact that people who are actually in love, or there's a chance of things like that, it can't happen for political reasons, which is mad, isn't it? And I think that's mad as well. The fact that you do everything genuinely. You meet someone. Of course, there's a date and there's a courtship involved. But when it's different countries, it gets questioned. Like, is this sincere? How long have you known them? Well, we're trying to get to know each other. Why can't the process just be leave me the fuck alone while I get to know this person? Why have I got to answer to you? I get really agitated with things like that. So, as you can see there, that I don't like answering to people the best of times. So I don't like following rules. So the idea you have to be following policies and things, that just drives me nuts because I want to tell them shove it up their ass, to be totally honest with you. Because I don't think anyone should have the power to dictate someone's freedom. For me, that's huge. So yeah, the idea that depending on your financial status determines your freedom, I think is madness to me. That's not a just world, is it? But anyway, that's one area of my life that I guess I suffer with because I haven't met anybody that would make me interested beyond that person in a relationship, which is sad, isn't it? Because I would like to be in a relationship, but it can't just be with anyone because my personality is too big, I guess, and it's like I can't lower myself. I can't. I don't want to end up in a situation where I'm with the wrong person and I can't pursue the right person. And I don't want to be in a toxic situation. So that's where that hyper side comes in. You know, you get that hyper awareness. It can literally cause you more misery than good because you literally end up declining. You could end up missing out on opportunities to be really happy because of your own downfall. So, like I'm saying, no one's perfect and we've all got to navigate this life. And I think there's going to be an awful lot of people similar to myself where you've been through enough in life and you close yourself off so much that you end up missing out on life as well, you know? That is sad, isn't it? Like, you know, I recognize that. I do. I see that the potential I could have. You know, I want to travel more. I want to do things, but I haven't got anyone to do those things with, you know, anyone I trust anyway. Um, so it does limit my life, you know. But as if I had just someone I genuinely trust and I could do things with, I could travel around the country, I could sightsee, I could do and I would enjoy all that, road trips. But you always find people just take you for granted. You know, you're the mule. You can pay all the costs. Everything's you. You know, and it's like that's not fun. That's not fun. I don't want that. I want someone. I want it to be fair. You know, and people are not fair. People always take advantage of people. You know. Again, it's just one area, but hopefully this is just giving people like a chance to broaden their mind, think a little bit. You know, self reflect. Because I mean, that's what I'm always doing, and I'm always witnessing people. You know, and for some reason, people just got a habit of abusing themselves, and I never see the reason why. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's just copping out, you know, the easy way out of life, and it's like, but it just brings you misery though. So why not challenge yourself a little bit? Um, yeah, I just think if you want a better life, then you got to go about doing something about it.